Project time management. It may be defined as processes required for managing the timely completion of the project. Project time management processes. Here is an overview of the project time management processes. Define activities. The process of identifying and documenting the specific actions. Sequence activities. The process of identifying and documenting relationships. Estimate activity resources. The process of estimating the type and quantities of material, human resources, equipment, or supplies. Estimate activity durations. The process of estimating the number of work periods. Develop schedule. The process of analyzing activity sequences, durations, resource requirements, and schedule constraints. And control schedule. The process of monitoring the status of project activities. Define activities. It is the process of identifying and documenting the specific actions to be performed to produce the project deliverables. The key benefit of this process is to break down work packages into activities that provide a basis for estimating, scheduling, executing, monitoring, and controlling the project work.
AIMS is a globally recognized and an accredited institution. We offer certifications, diploma, MBA, and PhD programs in project management through an online and self-paced learning system. For registration and details, please visit www.aims.education.
Sequence activities. It may be defined as process of identifying and documenting relationships among the project activities. Key benefit. It defines the logical sequence of work for better activity throughout the project. Tools and techniques for sequence activities. Dependencies determination. Dependencies are relationships between the activities, in which one activity is dependent on another to complete an action, or an activity is dependent on another to start an action. Types of dependencies. There are 3 types of dependencies, which are used to define the sequence among the activities. They are mandatory dependencies, discretionary dependencies, and external dependencies. Precedence Diagramming Method. Their activities are represented by nodes, and are graphically linked by one or more logical relationships to show the sequence. The predecessor activity logically comes before a dependent activity in a schedule, whereas the successor activity is a dependent activity that logically comes after another activity in a schedule. Precedence diagramming method includes 4 types of dependencies or logical relationships. These relationships are illustrated here. Number 1. Finish to start. Number 2. Finish to finish. Number 3. Start to start. And number 4. Start to finish. Finish to start. Activity A must be finished before the start of activity B. The initiation of the work of the successor depends upon the completion of the work of the predecessor. For example, the awards ceremony cannot start until the race has finished. Finish to finish. Activity A must be finished before activity B is finished. The completion of the work of the successor depends upon the completion of the work of the predecessor. For example, writing a document must be finished before editing can be finished. Start to start. Activity A must start before activity B can start. The initiation of the work of the successor depends upon the initiation of the work of the predecessor. For example, level concrete cannot start until pour foundation is started. Start to finish. Activity A must start before activity B can finish. The completion of the successor depends upon the initiation of the predecessor. For example, The first security shift cannot be finished until the second security shift is started. Leads and lags. They should be considered when determining the dependencies. Lead versus lag. Leads are the predicted measurement of how long it will take to do something, while lags measure how far behind a task or project phase is after it has started. What is lead? Lead means the beginning of a successor activity before the completion of its predecessor. Lead is the acceleration of the successor activity, or simply we can say that lead is the overlap between the predecessor and the successor activity. For example, coding might be able to start 5 days before the design is finished. Lead time can be considered a negative value. What is lag? The successor activity cannot start right after the end of the predecessor activity. A lag is a waiting time inserted between activities. In other words, lag time is the delay between the first and second activity. For example, you need to wait 3 days after pouring concrete before constructing the frame for the house. Lag time can be considered a positive value. Estimate activity resources. It is the process of estimating the type and quantities of material, human resources, and equipment or supplies which are required to perform each activity. Key benefit. This process identifies the type, quantity, and characteristics of resources required to complete the activity, which allows more accurate cost and duration estimates. Estimate activity durations. This process estimates the number of work periods needed to complete individual activities with estimated resources. Work periods are usually expressed in hours or days. The key benefit of this process provides the amount of time each activity will take to complete, which is a major input into the develop schedule process. Develop schedule. It is the process of analyzing activity sequences, durations, resource requirements, and schedule constraints in order to create the project schedule model. Key benefit. By entering schedule activities, durations, resources, resource availabilities, and logical relationships into the scheduling tool, it generates a schedule model with planned dates to complete project activities. Control schedule. This process monitors the status of project activities to update project progress, and manages the changes to the schedule baseline to achieve the plan. Key benefits. It provides the means to recognize deviation from the plan, and takes corrective and preventive actions, and thus minimizes the risk associated with the project.